4. Last week, you fine-tuned your own AI model.
This week, you give it a memory.
That's right. A trained model is smart, but on its own, it's working from memory. And memory can invent things. We call these confabulations. We're going to give your AI real notes to lean on.
Smart but forgetful. Here's the problem. In one line, when a model doesn't know something, it doesn't say, I don't know. It makes a confident guess. That's where the wrong advice comes from.
So, we handed a small set of curated notes it can actually look things up in, called a knowledge base. When you ask it something, it finds the relevant note first, then answers from that.
And it tells you which note is used. That's the part I love. The answer comes with a citation, so you can check it.
Here's where I got that. For a planning assistant, that's the difference between a hunch and real help.
The out-of-place meter. One more tool, and it has a scary name, we'll make friendly. Perplexity. Think of it as a meter that goes up when a note looks out of place, like a sentence that doesn't fit the rest.
It's an early warning. If a bad note sneaks into your knowledge base, the meter flags it so human can take a look before the model ever quotes it.
It won't catch everything, and that's actually next week's whole topic. But it catches the obviously odd stuff for free. Add a note, ask, see the citation.
Okay. Week 4, give your model notes it can quote. This week your AI model can look things up and tell you which note it used. We turn a small set of planning notes into something searchable, an embedded index. Ask a question and get an answer with the source it came from. Then we watch a deliberate odd note get flagged. This will take about 10 to 15 minutes. You can't break it. If a cell looks wrong, run it again from the top. Step 1, get the tools and a small search model. Step 2, write the notes in YAML, a set of short planning notes, each with a source you can cite. Most come from well-known productivity books. A few are lines from our own book, Make Something, so the model can quote us right alongside the classics. We're writing them in YAML this week instead of a Python list. YAML is a plain text format made for people to read and edit. No curly braces or quotes to bounce, and no commas to forget at the end of a line. You line things up with indentation and type. The handy part is greater than and dash. It sets one note, run across a few lines so it stays easy to read here, then folds those lines back into a single clean sentence when we load it. Short lines for you, tidy text for the model. Why bother? Real projects keep their notes, settings, and content in files like this so a person can edit them without touching the code. You'll see YAML again in config files, in GitHub Actions, and all over. Adding a note later is just copying the shape, ID, source, text, and keeping the indentation lined up. Here is an example of our notes for our knowledge base from various sources. Step 3, build a search index. This file files the notes so they can be searched in an instant. Step 4, ask a question and get a citation. We have one question, break down tasks, and answers. Break big projects into small chunks. A task you can finish in one sitting feels doable and gives momentum. A vague, large tasks invites procrastination. Source, Sage.Education Planning Guide.
So it's important to understand that this isn't a search so much as a relational similarity lookup. So it's like a database. Break tasks will find the same thing, but looking for something along the lines of get started will instead look for a different source. Question, get started? Begin with the smallest version, the seed. It is only a trace of what is to come. But that's enough to break the paralysis of the blank page. Source, Sage's books, Make Something. Chapter 1. Something starts somewhere. Now, if you search for a similar topic, it will find similar sources. Because our knowledge base is very small, asking different questions, well, let's do something very different.
Okay.
And now another one.
Do you have any ideas?
These pulled up the same thing, even though at first glance they seemed quite different. And the reason for that is that studying and homework are actually the same topics when you think about it in the long run. And that's where a knowledge base is much more useful than just searching through a document. At no point do we say homework in here, but we talk about projects and breaking things down. So one more one, and then we're going to get going. So dinner time.
Time blocking. Give each task a specific slot on your calendar instead of a vague to-do list. A task with a time is far more likely to get done than the one without. Newport. Pick one big thing per day. Choosing a single most important task gives the day a clear win, even if everything else slips. Decide it the night before.
Yeah.
Source.
So understand that when forced to always look through the knowledge base, it will always find the closest thing. It might not always make sense, but it'll always find what's most related to the question. Well, that has to deal with how much it matches. Change this to begin a project. And you can see that the match is higher because it relates more to it. Change this to time scheduling.
Now it went up to 0.76.
While it always gives you an answer, it also gives you how close the match is. And we can make adjustments to this. This is just a very clear, simple score on 1. It's a percentage here. It could be written as a percentage instead.
Step 5. Add your own notes. Add 5 to 10 notes of your own in the same YAML shape as above. Keep the 2-space indent lined up. Leave a blank line between notes and use greater than dash for any note longer than 1 line. Then rerun the search in step 4 with a question your notes answers. I've got one already in my clipboard, so I'm just going to put it here, but make sure I have a space between. And I've relabeled my ID as -002. This one is known as number 1. They're both from my notes. Use a calendar to organize your due dates and to help make plans not overlap.
Yeah, and so then the few lines of code below that will add your new notes to the knowledge base.
Press play.
That's
And now
my notes. And if you were to add one more, let's copy that. We're going to hit down, paste. You would have to put then in a 3. Technically, you can have anything as the ID as long as it doesn't repeat. And let's have something about actual dinner time planning.
begin prepping an hour before you want to eat.
Wonderful. So now when we run this, as you saw, it had 20 notes. Now we're going to run it again. And now it's 23 notes. And why is that? It's because we've just added the 3 notes. Now it's saying rerun step 4 with a question from your notes. And what's going to happen is that we come back here and instead of time scheduling, let's have that
Dinner time.
dinner time.
Dinner plans. Dinner plans. Begin prepping dinner an hour before you want to eat.
Yeah.
80% match.
That's really showing you how close it's able to get. You could change it to be something else.
Why don't we do breakfast plans and see what it says?
Sure. So it's close because it's meal related. But that's a really good example because those are very different terms that a common search wouldn't find. But because it's doing an actual lookup that looks for relative terms, it still is useful information.
Okay. The last step is number 6, the out of place meter. Drop in a note that doesn't belong with the planning notes. The meter scores how well each note fits the others. An odd one sits far from the rest, so it gets flagged for review while the normal ones are left alone. In this example, our note is about The blue whale is the largest animal ever known to have lived. And the source is question mark, question mark, question mark.
It's literally meant as a just invalid. You can add your own, but the important thing is that it will have a very low fit. There is one other note, I suggest you go try finding it over in the long list, that also has not the best fit, but it's still not horrible. So, yeah, that's week 4.
Your task, due Friday, open the notebook. Add 5 to 10 short planning notes of your own and ask your model a question it should answer from them.
Then send us the exchange, the question, the answer, and the note it cited. It runs in about 10 to 15 minutes.
And if a note gets flagged as out of place, tell us which one. We'll compare across the cohort. That's week 4. Your model can look things up and shows its source now, which is a real step up.
Next week, we go after the trickier problem. Advice that sounds perfectly reasonable and is still wrong. You'll teach your model to catch it. See you Friday.
Bye!
Oh, yeah. Bye!